Hey everyone! The warm-up topic this week is fractions. So I would say fractions are something that people struggle with most of their lives, so it's a good idea to just review them every so often. So the first concept that I find people struggle with is knowing which fractions are smaller. So we've got 1/4 versus 1/5. So some people see the 5 and think 5 is bigger, so this fraction should be bigger. But if we really think about it, if I took this single unit and split it up into 4 pieces, so one thing split into 4, we've got these 4 sections. If I took one thing and split it up into 5, I've got these 5 sections. So these rectangles were the same length. Notice that when I split it up into 5, I'm getting 5 smaller pieces than these 4 pieces. So if you, in the future, envision just kind of a rectangle in your head and split it up into that many pieces, then that's kind of, it'll help you see which one is smaller and which one's bigger. So ultimately, 1/5 is going to be smaller than 1/4 because the pieces are smaller when you break it up. Other important thing to know for fractions is how to add and subtract. So remember, you have to get a common denominator. So usually we look for the lowest common denominator. So what's the lowest number that both 3 and 5 go into? So frequently what you can do is just multiply the two together. So I'm going to multiply this side by 5 because that's the opposite fraction's denominator, and make sure you do the same thing to the top and the bottom. And I'm going to multiply this fraction by 3. So what we're left with is 5 over 15 plus 6 over 15. So now that we have common denominators, we add the tops, our numerators, we get 11, and then the denominator stays the same, so it's going to stay at 15, and that's supposed to be an 11. So that idea works for adding and subtracting. So you actually add or subtract the top, the denominator stays the same. Finally, with multiplying, you don't need common denominators. So you can just multiply across. So 2 times 1 is 2. And on this one, you actually do multiply the denominator as well. So 5 times 7 is 35. With fractions, it's a little bit different. So remember, when you're dividing fractions, you actually want to multiply by the reciprocal. So we're going to keep this 3/4 the same, and we're going to multiply by the reciprocal, which means we're going to flip over the 1/5. So we'll have 5 over 1. So 3 times 5 is 15, and 4 times 1 is 4. So both of these fractions we're not going to simplify. And actually, I know that this fraction, some of you learned in middle school that you don't like the numerator to be greater than the denominator, but in algebra, it's fine to do it that way. So we would prefer you keep your fractions looking like this. So now that you've had a quick review over fractions, why don't you guys go and try the practice problems.